The Doodlin Lounge, where all you need to get in is your imagination.
Thank you for that, Kathleen. Please welcome to my Doodlin Lounge this evening, Miss Champion Fulton.
Time and the wrong place. Though your face is charming, it's the wrong face. It's not his face, but such a charming face that it's all alright with me. It's the wrong song in the wrong style. Though your smile is lovely, it's the wrong smile. It's not his smile, but such a lovely smile that it's all right with me. You can't know how happy I am that we met. I'm strangely attracted to you. There's someone I'm trying so hard to forget. Don't you want to forget someone too? It's the wrong game with the wrong chips. Though your lips are tempting, they're the wrong lips. They're not his lips, but such tempting lips that if some night you're free, then it's alright. It's alright. It's alright with me. You can't know how happy I am that we met. I'm strangely attracted to you. There's someone I'm trying so hard to forget. Don't you want to forget someone too? It's the wrong game with the wrong chips. Though your lips are tempting, they're the wrong lips. They're not his lips, but such tempting lips that if some night you're free, then it's alright. It's alright. It's alright with me.
What a treat it is this evening, Champion, to have you, Champion Fulton, in our Doodlin Lounge. We opened up with a track from your Sings and Swings. It's All Right With Me. It features your dad. And one of the reasons I like that in the beginning here is because I love father-daughter stories around music, and I know that the family is where this all germinated for you. Talk a little bit about your dad, Stephen Fulton.
Yeah, so my father plays trumpet and flugelhorn. He's on quite a few of my recordings. I should know the number. I don't know how many, but he's on a lot of them. And of course, involved in all of them. And when I was born, he was working all the time as a full-time musician. And I would go to his shows as a baby and as a very small child. And he was always having so much fun. And he was such good friends with Clark Terry and people like that. I saw Joe Williams. And I was just exposed to such, I think, excellence in the music that I was very attracted to it. And I wanted to be a part of it. And, by the time I was in kindergarten, I really wanted to be a jazz musician like my dad. And that was always my dream and always my goal. And I loved it. And we loved working together and playing together. Although, when you're 6, you're not always the best practicer. So I had to learn how to practice, but I did.
And your mother, what role did she play?
Well, my mom, so we're a family of 3. I don't have any siblings. I'm an only child. My mother works in healthcare. Well, she's retired now. She always worked in healthcare. And she was definitely very supportive. She was always, of course, with me when I was a little kid. And then when we would come home from Dad's gig, I would want to reenact the gig as if I was on it. And she was always a very willing audience. And then, of course, she came to gigs as I started to play my own gigs. She would come and often be the roadie, I have to say. And so it was definitely a family affair. We always had a lot of fun together.
Yeah, and it sounds as if when your father and mother had these get-togethers with Clark Terry and all these wonderful folks, that they would parade you out and say, come on, play a little something for us, Champion.
Well, sometimes I think they weren't always the ones who would do that. My father and Clark were really best friends. And so, Clark really treated me almost like a granddaughter. And so often it was more him, because I became very obsessed with some albums that he was on. And specifically Dinah Washington for Those in Love. And I could sing the whole record and I could sing all his solos. And he thought this was very entertaining. And so anytime he wanted to entertain his friends, which could be Joe Williams or Sir Roland Hanna, he would say to me Champion, sing the songs from that record, and normally I would do it. In front of Joe Williams, I got super, super nervous though, and completely froze. And it was embarrassing for all of us.
Yeah. Well, let's go back in Champion's recording career to 2007. Some of her very, very early commercial efforts. This is Champion with David Berger and the Sultans of Swing. Too Close for Comfort here in the Doodlin Lounge.
Be wise, be smart, behave, my heart. Don't upset your cart when he's so close. Be soft, be sweet, but be discreet. Don't go off your beat. He's too close for comfort. Too close for comfort, please, not again. Too close to know just when to say when. Be firm, be fair, be absolutely sure, beware. too close. Shiddly bop.
Champian Fulton is with us here this evening in the Doodlin Lounge with great recorded music, and of course the conversation is fresh and current. Thank you so much. You know, you talk about your father's relationship with Clark Terry and your, can we say, infatuation with Dinah Washington and some of these other singers. They were provocative. There was so much innuendo. Did you understand all that? Did you kind of lean towards that style?
No, I didn't understand anything. I mean, I'm like 7 or 8 years old. I didn't understand anything. One of my favorite records, we had it on LP, was Dinah, like the Late Late Show. And on that record, she sings the blues about the dentist,
Yes.
which I won't go
Long
into
John,
here.
Long
That is
John.
not family friendly.
Yeah.
Of course, I didn't know anything. I didn't know it meant anything. I just really loved it. I loved the way she sang the blues. And I remember my mother trying to explain to me that, I shouldn't sing that song at like 8 years old. Of course, I didn't understand until many, many years later. It's pretty funny.
Irene Reed could get away with it. Champion Fulton, maybe not so much.
Yeah, I don't know. But I do love all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but your study and your interest in jazz performers, vocalists, instrumentalists is uncanny. I want to at some point talk about your book collection. You have a library full of jazz books.
Yes, I have a library, jazz book library. I love jazz books. I collect them. I love, of course, because I love to read them. And I think there's a lot of really good information that can be found in those books, and a lot of great photos and things. And I collect them anywhere I go. We go to used bookstores. I'm always scouring for random jazz books.
Mm-hmm. And could you extrapolate this into a curriculum and maybe teach at the university level? I mean, is that inside you?
I think absolutely. I mean, I really love the music and the history of the music and analyzing, in a fun way. And I have done a lot of teaching. One of my favorite things is every summer down in Red Bank, New Jersey, for a few years, we used to do a listening class, all ages, a couple times a week for an hour and a half, and we would go through and listen to and we had a curriculum. So like one week we would study Lester Young, then we would study Coleman Hawkins. We would talk about the branches of jazz saxophone, where that goes, the history, the big bands. And it was really fun. I love that. Anytime I get to talk about jazz, I'm available.
Oh, that's wonderful. And of course, when you're on the bandstand, you have that opportunity, that platform to teach your listeners right then and there, young and old, what's going on and how you're interpreting this music. Champion, what about the piano now? Is it an anchor? Is it like the mothership for you? Or do you stand up to the, Sarah gave it up, Carmen gave it up, not gave it up, but stepped away from it. And do you eventually see yourself standing at the microphone?
No, never. I don't like to stand up, and I would more likely see myself only playing piano than only singing. I love the piano. And it's, I came to singing first just because I think small children come to singing first. But piano was really my first instrument that I liked. And my grandmother played piano, so I liked that. I liked that association. And then I love the instrument. And especially in a band environment, even a trio or larger, you have so much control. And there's so much range of dynamics and tone and sound and color. And I love the piano. I could never move away from the piano in a performing setting. Actually, I really don't like to stand up on the stage. If I have to stand up, sometimes I stand up to talk, but if I'm with a big band and they want me to stand in front and sing, I don't know what to do with myself.
I think the pose that Nat Cole started, kind of twisted on the seat a little bit, and Diana Krall copied that. I mean, that's classic. That's iconic, you at the piano. Champian Fulton with I Cover the Waterfront from her Sharp 9 release, Sings and Swings. Fukushi Tanaka on drums, Hidi Tanaka on bass. Champian Fulton here in the Doodlin Lounge. Champion Fulton is with us this evening here in the Doodlin Lounge talking about the music. You are a prolific, and you have been a prolific recording artist. I mean, it's in the 14-plus numbers of releases that you've had. Was it deliberate to bounce from one label to another? Because you're all over the place in terms of labels. Or did you want to sink into one?
I never thought anything about it. So it certainly wasn't deliberate. It wasn't deliberate. It wasn't intentional, but it wasn't unintentional. It just sort of happened. When I was growing up in Oklahoma, we would make these demo recordings, which, I mean, were full-length albums, but they weren't commercially released. But we would do that because my father always said it's good to make a record of what you're doing, to have an artistic project to work on, and then also to practice being in the studio, because it's difficult to be in the studio. And so I think because of that, by the time I first made it into the studio, which I think was in 06 or 07, I had some experience and it wasn't so foreign to me. And I just have always liked recording, and I have always liked saying yes in a general sense. So if a label approaches me and says, "Do you want to make a record?" I just go, "Yeah, okay, sure." And so that's kind of why I've been on so many different labels. And then, of course, in the past maybe 10 years, quite a few things on my own label, because I also like to sort of have the full director's control. So I like to do everything myself also.
Exactly. Talk a little bit about the relationship with Corey Weeds. He, in terms of putting out the records, Cellar Live has been impressive, all across the country and the world. How did you hook up with Corey, and is that a fruitful musical relationship for you?
Yeah, so it's funny because you opened the show with a cut from Sings and Swings, which is actually the first album he heard of mine. He heard that, I don't know, on the radio or something, and he called me on the phone. And at this time, he had his club, The Cellar, which is now gone, and now he runs Frankie's in Vancouver, in British Columbia. And he called me and he said, "I heard your record with my father, Eric Alexander's also on that record." And he said, "I want you to come out and play a weekend at the club." I said, "Yeah, great." I came out and we just really hit it off musically, and as friends, we made an album. We've done many tours together. And certainly Corey is a very hardworking person, and also, like me, a real lover of jazz. And so I love his label for all the new releases. I really love the Reel to Reel series where he does the reissues. I think that's really fun.
Yeah.
And he always has a lot of projects going on. So I think it's really a nice artistic relationship, in addition to being, professional relationship. I think we really like the music. We like to talk about it together.
Yes. Yeah, here's one they not only talk about, but they play together on Pennies from Heaven. This is from the Cellar Live release, Dream a Little, Champion Fulton and Corey Weeds.
Every time it rains, pennies from heaven. Don't you know each cloud contains pennies from heaven? You'll find your fortune piling all over town. Be sure your umbrella is upside down. Trade them for a package of sunshine and flowers. If you want the things you love, you must have showers. So when you hear it thunder, don't run under a tree. There'll be pennies from heaven for you and me. Every time it rains pennies from heaven. Don't you know each cloud contains pennies from heaven? You'll find your fortune falling all over town. Be sure your umbrella is upside down. Trade them for a package of sunshine and flowers if you want the things you love. You must have showers. So when you hear it thunder, don't run under a tree. There'll be pennies from heaven for you and me. There'll be pennies from heaven for you and me.
Similar to the residency at Birdland, or two different things, two different experiences?
Oh, I think, two different things. So I actually started working at Birdland in 2003, which is 20 years now. When I came to New York. No, I know. When my mother tells me you can't say those things. But when I came to New York, I started playing happy hour piano there on Thursday nights. And then I did several nights during the week over the years, before finally, doing like a full week. And I always had a dream to record an album there, like my heroes, like Clifford Brown and Lou Donaldson, Art Blakey. And when I approached this idea to Johnny, the owner, a couple years ago, he was like, yeah, let's do it. And I was a little surprised because I thought he was going to say no. I don't know why I thought that, but he said, yeah, let's do it. And we recorded last year during my birthday week in September. And we made our newest album, which is number 16, came out this April. And that is called Meet Me at Birdland. And it is a live recording done at the theater.
And glamorous, that old standby amorous, it's all too wonderful. I'll never find the words that say enough, that tell enough. I mean, they just aren't swell enough. You're much too much, just too very, very marvelous for words. they just aren't swelling up. You're much too much, and just too very, very to ever be in Webster's dictionary. And so I'm borrowing a love song from the birds to tell you that you're marvelous, too marvelous for words. You're just too marvelous, too marvelous for words. Thank you very much.
Now, we mentioned Dinah Washington a little bit. What about tributes in general, whether it's a tour or in the studio recording a tribute? Do you get tired of them, and do you think audiences appreciate them? I mean, how many more tributes to so-and-so is there going to be, you know?
Yeah, that's a tough question because I get asked to do a lot of tributes. And of course, I love to think of the artists that I love and to tribute them in a literal sense. I like to play the material, to think of them, to reflect on their music. I think I'm going to say I do think audiences get tired of it. I think I would rather see artists or bands that have an identity that the audience is interested in. I think much like Bill Charlap Trio, people love Bill Charlap Trio. They have expectations that are met, and they're always presenting new material, but also they have a repertoire that people expect to hear when they go and hear them. And I like that more than the tribute model. That being said, of course, I've done tributes, and even my album After Dark, which came out in 2016, is a tribute to Dinah Washington, although we didn't write that anywhere on the packaging.
Oh,
So it's sort of a secret. It's like
yeah.
a secret tribute.
Well, you'd have to. I mean, it's obvious. It's obvious, and,
Yeah.
and it's a great product. Well, let's listen to Champian at the piano singing in this tribute to Dinah Washington called After Dark from Gut String Records. Louis Nash on drums, David Williams playing bass, and Champion's father, Stephen Fulton, on trumpet here in the Doodlin Lounge.
Got a bad case of the blues. I've got a heartache I can't lose. I'm in love with a man who's meaner than 20 mules. I've got a bad case of blues. I'm feeling so helpless and confused. You see, he never takes me nowhere. He just don't care about the rules. I really don't need a doctor. I'm just a poor helpless case. See the look of unrequited love. I am wearing on my pretty face. I've got a bad case of the blues. I'm so tired and confused, but here I go back for more. Open the door, please, Mr. Blues. just a poor helpless case. See the look of unrequited love I am wearing on my pretty face. I've got a bad case of the blues. I'm so helpless and confused, but here I go back for more. Open the door, please, Mr. Blue.
Champian Fulton, the composer, for example. Let's talk about your song list. You're backstage. You're developing a song list with the rest of the musicians. A few instrumentals or all vocals, original compositions, covers. Do you like to mix it up? What are you thinking backstage?
Oh, yeah. Well, for one thing, I don't make a list. Backstage or on stage or at home, there's no list. I like to just, my band, we have played together for a long time, like 18 years. I've had other bands, but this unit has been playing together for 18 years. We have a lot of repertoire, a lot of things we can play. Of course, we're very comfortable with each other, so I don't need to make a list. And when we go on stage, I sort of like to just go with the flow. There's going to be instrumentals in there. In an hour set, I would say maybe 2 to 3 songs of instrumentals. I do like to play my at least 1 or 2 originals per set, usually. But also every day when I wake up, it's a new experience because I never know if I want to sing more or play more until I get on stage. And so I definitely want to sing. I know people want to hear both things, so I know that. But sometimes I lean in one direction more just because I naturally lean that way.
Yeah. Pianist, vocalist Champian Fulton with us this evening here in the Doodlin Lounge. You have touched down on innumerous countries, cities, continents. I mean, do you have any stories for us with respect to travel? Most importantly, pre-pandemic, because it kind of petered out there for a minute. The whole travel idea.
So I think my mother keeps a running count, but I'm going to say I think I've been to 25 countries or so. And I'm very fortunate. I've been going to Europe for a little more than 10 years, and I usually go 6 or 7 times in the year. I've been to the most exotic countries, I think, are Morocco. I used to play the Tangier Jazz Festival a couple years in a row. And then in 2017, I went to Mongolia, which a lot of people are very surprised. We went to Mongolia, to the capital city, to Ulaanbaatar, and we played at the opera house there. And also spent a week teaching at the university, teaching jazz studies at the university. And that was really quite an experience. It was in December, and I don't know what I was expecting, but Mongolia is very far north. It is close to Siberia. It is extremely cold. I mean, minus 40 Fahrenheit every day.
Wow.
It's of course it was dark because it's far north, so there wasn't a lot of daylight in December. And it was totally unlike, I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't like what I was expecting. The people were super warm, very interested in jazz. It was a wonderful week. I would love to go back to Mongolia.
Wow, isn't that something? And you don't come into a situation like that with a preconceived, this is what I want on my contract. I need this, and this. You just kind of like find out what's there, huh?
Yeah, I mean, definitely like, you have these ideas, you have expectations of what it's like to be on the road or what it's like to work at a school or anything like that. But that was my first trip to Asia, was Mongolia. And I flew from New York. So it's a long flight. I think I flew to Beijing and then to Ulaanbaatar. By the time I got there, I was totally exhausted and just very tired. I had a stressful layover, and I get off the plane. I'm exhausted. It's freezing. And all of the students from the university and fans even were at the airport with like flowers and champagne. And I walk out of immigration, with my bags, and they were all there like, Champion. And I just burst into tears because I was so exhausted
That's
and
got to
overwhelmed.
have been a highlight, though. I mean, my
No,
goodness,
definitely.
to be received that way.
Hmm.
Do you think there's a big difference between the way you're received in the U.S. or any jazz musician is received in the U.S. versus another country? It's got to be different.
Oh yeah, totally. I think in the US, I think we do take a lot of it for granted, especially in bigger cities like here in New York, where you've got what, 30 plus jazz clubs. You can hear stuff all the time. People are always here, like big whoop, But then when you go to someplace remote, such as Mongolia, or even, I travel to Sweden, a lot of small towns in northern Sweden. it- it's a much bigger deal. They're more excited. You're a visitor. It's something they don't have access to all the time. And so it is different. And of course, every culture is different too. Some are just much louder and warmer and, more open than others. Um, but that's one reason I love traveling.
Mm-hmm. We'll take a track now from Champion's 2017 release, Speechless, on the Positone label. This is called Dark Blue, with Addie Meyerson on bass, Ben Zuig on drums. Champion Fulton in the Doodlin Lounge. Our guest this evening here in the Doodlin Lounge has been Champian Fulton. We want to thank everybody involved in your momentum, in your inertia, in your music, your folks particularly, and of course your management and people that take care of you when you travel and make sure you've got the right piano and all this kind of stuff, because you've got a good thing going here, Champion. You really do. And I've enjoyed not only listening to your music but airing it to my listeners for a number of years. I just hope all the very, very best for you in the future.
Thank you so much. I had a good time talking. Thank you.
Thank you, Champion Fulton. We'll keep the needle in the groove for this speechless product on Positone for Champion Fulton. This one's called Day's End, and it is about time. It's closing time here in my Doodlin Lounge. I'm Pete Fallico, your host and master of ceremonies, thanking you so much for joining me. Thank you again, Champion Fulton. And remember, everybody, go forth, please, and do good.